Hello again. Welcome to Advice from the Road. This is going to be more of a story time. I'm going to tell you about probably the most impactful client that I've ever worked with. It was a lady who was, we might squeeze in two here. I got to stop for gas up here in a little bit, so we'll see if I have time. But the first one is a lady I was referred to after her husband had passed away. She was in her mid-50s. Husband had been sick, for a while. No, this is not my current wife. There's another video coming for that, and my wife will be on it. But we'll call her Jane. So I go to meet with Jane. I had never met her before, but we walk in, sit down at her dining room table. It's this big 3,000 square foot ranch home, and she's the only one in it. They had one daughter who was about 20 years old at the time, I believe. And I sat down at her table and I said, well, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear about what happened to your husband. Tell me, how are you doing right now? And she proceeded to tell me how she was confused, she was scared, she didn't know where to start, she didn't know what they had, what they didn't have. He had always paid the bills, he had always taken care of the financial stuff, and she had no idea where to start. And I said, well, that's okay. What do you want to do? What's the number one thing right now? And she said, well, I want to get a handle on everything. I want to know where it's at. I want to know what to do. He had some life insurance. I don't know what to do with that. He had some retirement money. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know if I'm going to be okay financially. Am I going to have to sell this house? Am I going to have to get a second job? Can I still afford to send my daughter to college? All these questions through her head. So I said, look, give me everything you think that I need to make sense of your situation, every financial document. And she did. She already had a big brown bag of envelopes and letters and documents and stuff, and she just dumped them on the table. And she said, here, this is everything I have. I need you to help me figure out where I need to go. So, to make a long story short, over the course of a few weeks and a couple meetings later, every time I would go back to her house, she had this dog. I believe it was a dachshund, might have been a little bit bigger, but he was kind of bowed, like pigeon-toed, where his paws would stick out like that. But he would greet me at the door every single time, and he had to sniff me for a few minutes before I was allowed to proceed. But we would sit down and we would make one more step. We would check one more thing off the box. I said, okay, he had some life insurance money here. You said you wanted to do this with it. Check that box. This is what we're going to do with it. This is where we're going to put it so that you can use it for later to do the things you want to do. Let's take some time, let the dust settle on all this so you can make some rational decisions. You told me that you wanted to be sure that if the same thing happened to you, your daughter wasn't burdened with anything. So we put in place life insurance for her, and we put in some long-term care insurance because she said, look, my husband was sick for a long time. It cost a lot of money. I don't have that kind of money, and I don't want my daughter burdened with having to take care of me. If she wants to take care of me, fine, but I don't want her to have to. And so we checked that off the box. And the last thing was he had some retirement money, so we invested that for her and held it there so that it's going to grow and do what she wants it to do, and it'll be there for her when she retires. And we figured out that she's probably in a better place than she realized. We figured out that she was still on pace to kind of retire the way that she wanted. She wouldn't have to sell the house. She wouldn't have to get a second job. And she's going to be fine. Aside from the fact that she just lost her husband. So before I left on the last meeting, though, I said, well, first question I asked you when we first met was, how are you feeling? How are you feeling now? And she looked at me. She reaches across the table, kind of puts her hand over the top of mine, and she says, I feel like I'm going to be okay. She said, when you first walked in, I was confused and scared. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But by working with you, I feel like I'm going to be okay. I know the direction I need to take, and I'm not so scared anymore. I miss my husband. I'm always going to. That's going to be a big adjustment. But having all of my financial stuff in order is a big weight off my shoulders. And I really appreciate that. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? That right there is why I do what I do. And I can't put a price tag on it, and there is no amount of compensation I could get that it is going to equal that feeling of knowing that you feel like you're going to be more than okay and that you're not scared anymore. So I got to get gas here because I'm about out, but if that resonates with you and you are going through that, or you have had someone in your life go through that, have them give us a call. Like this, share it, introduce us to your friends and family and those you care about, and we'll treat them as best we can. We'll help them as best we can. Thanks.